What is cloud accounting and why is it awesome? So the cloud is like this mystical thing, right? We keep hearing about it. It's in pop culture. What exactly is the cloud? Well, it's not a mystical thing, and I'm going to show you that in just a couple minutes. So my name is Chris Hervochon with SOAR, A Better Way CPA. By all means, if you have any questions during this presentation, please ask. If you're watching this on recording, please go back, add your questions to the comments. I'm always happy to go back and answer questions from folks who have viewed my videos. So let's start. What is the cloud? I pulled this definition straight from the Microsoft Azure website, and I will read it because I think it's important. But essentially, it's a term used to describe a global network of servers, each with a unique function. These servers are designed to either store and manage data, run applications, or deliver content or a service such as streaming videos, webmail, office productivity software, or social media. Instead of accessing files and data from a local or personal computer, you are accessing them online from any internet-capable device. Now, what I think about when I read this definition is the first accounting firm that I worked at out of college, we had a server sitting in the closet, literally. And that kind of fed the internet and all of our applications internally in the firm. Now, when we move to the cloud, what you have are these things called server farms or data centers, where basically you've got a bunch of servers located in one location, and those servers are being shared by tons of different people, different companies, things like that. So that's kind of what I think about. That's the difference of yesterday and today, right? Okay, so what is cloud accounting? And I wrote my own definition, and again, I think it's important to go ahead and read this to just kind of convey it. But my definition of cloud accounting, and this, if you go and you Google it, you're going to find different definitions. But here's my definition. This is the way that SOAR operates. We operate based off of this exact definition. This is how I deliver services to my clients. But here it goes. The simultaneous leveraging of an internet-based general ledger, in other words, accounting software, application, and internet-based business applications for the seamless collection, combination, and processing of financial data. Cloud accounting is the development and use of an internet-based ecosystem for a company's financial data. Cloud accounting is not the use of a software accessed via a remote desktop or screen sharing software, nor is it the storage of financial data online without the connection of and use by other internet-based financial applications. What does this mean? So what this means is the difference in cloud accounting is using QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop. That's one piece of it. The next piece of this is, hey, let me backtrack here. But I go to these accounting conferences, firms talk about, oh yeah, we're on the cloud. Yeah, we've got access to the cloud, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes the definitions for what those firms are saying varies widely. So some firms will think that they're cloud-based accounting firms just because they've got remote desktop software that they can remote into their client's desktop application. Some of them think it's as simple as having Dropbox, which is that's not it. It's not it at all. So my definition of cloud accounting is the delivery of service, so delivery of services or of an accounting function within an ecosystem. So various different apps, all connected, all talking to each other, in order to deliver your company's financial product, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So one of the questions I got when I was preparing these slide decks, actually, I was talking to a friend of mine, and the question was, well, like, where is the cloud? And the answer is it's everywhere. As I was saying a couple minutes ago, it's in these data centers, right? And so here is the map from Amazon. Amazon Web Services is probably one of the biggest suppliers of the cloud. They're huge, right? They even supply the service for the U.S. government. And so this is their map from their website and it's linked it'll be linked in the show notes of their global infrastructure. So as you can see, it's everywhere, and there are pockets, concentrations in Europe, America, Asia, but all over the place. So these are their data centers, and these data centers, I think it's safe to say, are providing a very significant chunk of the internet to the citizens of the world. Okay, so the next question is, well, can AWS be deployed locally? So these applications are using AWS, right, as their back-end, cloud provider. And, you're probably wondering, well, if you're developing this application, is that going to be hosted, and you're using AWS, is it going to be hosted everywhere? Is it going to be hosted locally? Can you decide? Well, here is Amazon subscription, cut and copied from their website, their answer to that question. So what it says here, and I highlighted it, customers can share their interest for local region delivery, request service roadmap information, or gain insight on service independently. And you got to sign an NDA, of course, right? But what this says basically is if you're going to deploy AWS for your application, then you can request that your deployment is deployed locally. So if you have a US-based application, you can theoretically, based on this language, request that AWS only use US-based services. So your data is not going, over yonder somewhere. So back to cloud accounting. How popular is cloud accounting? And this is a Quora post that I did a couple months ago. I basically just pulled the figures straight out of the Intuit quarterly report, I believe is what it was, based on the date. And it shows that cloud accounting is really, really popular. Now, I think the best use case or best example here is to compare QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Desktop. Everybody knows QuickBooks. We've got the data for both products. This is a simple comparison. So as of the fall, or late fall, early winter of 2018, QuickBooks Online had 3.6 million users. QuickBooks Desktop, 500,000 users. Okay, that's a huge difference. The vast majority of QuickBooks users are, in fact, online. So cloud accounting, I would venture to say, is gaining traction. It is the way of the future. So, again, when we think about cloud accounting, remember I talked about the ecosystem. Well, the ecosystem means apps, other apps. So QuickBooks plus whatever. So this is an article, I believe this was also from November, but QuickBooks passed QuickBooks Online, their app store. They've got two app stores, one online, one desktop. And again, I think this is the best kind of use case as far as showing the contrast between desktop and online, because they've got two separate app stores, two separate applications. Okay, this is a great example. So there's over 600 apps sitting in the QuickBooks Online app store. 600. Okay, business applications, 600 of them. What about desktop? Well, if you go and you actually go to the QuickBooks Desktop App Store, it shows you there on the left how many different apps are in each of these categories, right? It's about 200. So the online app store is about 3x the size of the desktop app store. So we've got 3.6 million users on online plus 600 apps, 500,000 users on desktop plus 200 apps. That's pretty powerful. Now, cloud accounting, why it's awesome. This is the part that I love. I talk about the ecosystem, right? Because it allows for automation. Now, this is a screenshot directly from Zapier. If you go and you search for QuickBooks, you will see the only result that you get is QuickBooks Online. You do not get QuickBooks Desktop. So if you think about the thousands and thousands of apps on Zapier, and if you're not using Zapier, it'll change your world. I promise. Go check it out. It's cheap and it's a great way to automate workflows in your business. But you'll notice there's no QuickBooks Desktop here. So if you got any of these number of apps, these thousands of apps that you're using in your business or even personally, and you want to automate workflows, this is one of the best places to start. It's similar to Microsoft Flow. That's another good one. Automate.io, that's another good one. But all of these different automation services, and that's what Zapier is, can connect to QuickBooks Online, and then you can connect these various apps together without code. No code. And that's important. Drag and drop down type boxes, super easy. Now, if you are a coder, if you do know how to code, QuickBooks Online has an API. The various cloud applications, a lot of them have APIs. You can connect them yourself. So if these integrations aren't built, you can go build one yourself. Feel free, knock yourself out. But if you're using some of the more commonly used applications in your business and you have a cloud accounting software as kind of the hub, think about it as a hub and spoke type deal. The hub is going to be your cloud accounting software, and the spokes are going to be your different business applications that kind of circle around that and talk to your accounting software so you can combine data. Okay, I think that's a pretty good visual, and you can really only accomplish that online, not so much desktop. Like, it's definitely not in the robust way that you can online. So cloud accounting allows for automation, as I said. Zapier being the best example. These are a bunch of different apps. I pulled this slide from a YouTube live that I did a few months back, where I showed a use case of how cloud accounting works. how I'm using it in my business. And by cloud accounting, I do mean accounting software plus different business applications. Okay, and this is stuff that I'm sure that a lot of you use all the time. FormStack, Evernote, Google Forms, Google Sheets. And in that video, I connect a couple of the HubSpots on here. And in that video, I connect a couple of those straight to QuickBooks to show you how the workflow goes. There you go. This is the video that I did a couple of months back. It is embedded inside of the slide deck. The slide deck is going to be available on Google Slides and also on SlideShare. So it's also, this video obviously is also on my YouTube channel, so feel free to go take a look at that. But it'll show you an actual example, and I walk through how to put it together of how you can connect these various apps with QuickBooks and do something similar in your business. It's basically meant as a thought exercise, a thought expansion exercise. So this is what I do. Think about what I do, and in the context of your business. Okay, that's basically what that video is trying to say. So. Again, the best use case, QuickBooks Online, because it's so widely used as far as accounting software goes. But where is the QuickBooks Online Cloud? And this is copied straight out of the Intuit. Intuit's the parent company of QuickBooks annual report. And I will read this because, again, I think it's really important. But it says, we continue to execute on a multi-year plan to transition the systems, networks, and databases required to operate these online offerings to Amazon Web Services. So, QuickBooks Online, the biggest, probably most widely used small business accounting software packages. Amazon Web Services. We already talked about Amazon Web Services, where their servers are, yada, yada, yada. So I continue. Currently, several of our core online offerings are using AWS. The remaining online offerings are housed in data centers located in geographically diverse locations. So Intuit, and there's other portions of the annual report where Intuit talks about they've got some data centers that they operate themselves. One of them, I believe, is in Texas, and they just sold one in Washington. But a lot of their offerings are sitting on AWS, so that's why that Amazon piece is important that I talked about a couple minutes ago. So I know this has probably been on your mind since you tuned into this, but how secure is the cloud? And the actual answer is, well, it depends, right? The best piece of advice that I would give is if you're going to implement cloud-based applications into your business, you should do your research. So a lot of these applications, if you go on their website, they'll tell you about their security measures, their certifications, yada, yada, yada. I think that's important to read and it's important to understand. So the questions that I would ask are, what level of encryption are you using in your application? What different certifications do you have? What backend data center are you using? Are you using AWS? How are those centers secured if they're not AWS? Even if they are AWS, I think maybe go research and see how they're secured. I know something I was reading about, it was either on the AWS website or it was on the Intuit report. I don't recall, but it says the data centers are secured by like physical security. So what does that mean? These are all important questions to ask, and I think you have to consider it on a application by application basis. I would say do your research, reach out to the reps, ask questions, but get comfortable with it. And the other thing that I'll say is when you move to the cloud, basically what you're doing is you're outsourcing your security, right? Now, if you're sitting in your office and you've got QuickBooks Desktop sitting on either a server that's in your office or sitting on your desktop of your computer, well, that can get hacked too. Right? There's people everywhere trying to hack everything. So what you're doing in that scenario is you're onloading the data security of your firm or your company. And so, I think you need to ask the question, look, these applications that I'm using or want to use, they're taking these measures to secure my data. Here are the measures that I'm taking to secure my data. Who's better? Good question, but you've got to consider that for yourself. All right, so these are my Jack Handey final deep thoughts. I did realize when I was putting together this slide that the Jack Handey thing is that probably dates me. It's an old SNL reference, but those skits are awesome anyway. Go check them out on YouTube. Anyway, so first point, cloud accounting is the way of the present and the future. Present meaning look at the number of users who are on the cloud, look at the number of users who are using desktop. The cloud accounting is much, much larger, okay? It's the way of the future. We're not putting this genie back in the bottle. It's not happening. So it's inevitable and all accounting software and service providers will move to the cloud. That's absolutely going to happen. When we think about machine learning, AI, yada yada yada, those things are all augmented by the use of the cloud. Remember, I talked about how we can connect these different applications and things like that. Access to data, 24/7 access, yada yada yada. Well, bots, that too. Those things are all made easier and more robust by the use of the cloud. And so that genie is absolutely positively not going back in the bottle. And you'll see those topics in the news all the time. They're all interrelated. So number 2, the cloud allows for increased automation and data connectivity. I just talked about that. APIs, the use of Zapier, different automation softwares, things like that. And number 3, so this is my final point, but generally cloud software is secure, but do your due diligence. Do your own due diligence. Read the security terms on the websites. I've included the one for QuickBooks Online in this slide deck. You'll see that on the next slide, and it's also going to be in the show notes. It's important to read, and it's interesting, quite frankly. But then that allows you to compare QuickBooks Online to different apps to each other, yada yada yada. But educate yourself. You want to be asking what level of encryption does the software provide? Where are the data centers? Are they using AWS? Are they not using AWS? Are they using Microsoft Cloud? Is it a different service provider? Who knows? But ask the question. It's important to understand because then you can understand the security. And then does the company have any sort of certifications? I talked about that as well. And then remember, your desktop computer and your homebrew server can be hacked as well. So do you want to insource your data security or do you want to outsource your data security? Who's going to do a better job? Do you have the resources to insource it and do it as well as a cloud provider can? You got to answer that for yourself. So here are the resources for today's show. The link to the YouTube live presentation will be in here because I'm going to post these slides out to SlideShare and Google Slides. Link to my website. And then these are the various articles that I referenced in this presentation as well. And so let's connect. ChrisIsBetterWayCPA.com, 843-608-0298. That's the phone number. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Quora, Instagram, Pinterest. So basically everywhere. Happy to connect, answer questions. If you like this video, please like it and share it. That helps me to build my audience and also to build my business. And I really appreciate it. And it also helps me to figure out what kind of content that y'all want to see going forward. So really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.